In terms of the team performance, what sort of areas need improving from Dublin then?
We went in 11-5. We had a man in the bin. We didn't concede during that period, so we were probably reasonably happy at half time. We didn't have much possession. We were about 32% possession in the first half, and it did get better in the second half. But probably second half, they got an early try, went to 18-5, and we started to chase the game a little bit. We started to think, okay, if we don't do something special now, the game's going to go away from us. And we still have 32, 33 minutes left on the clock. So it's just a bit of a lesson, really, to understand that you get 3, 6, 9 points, or you get a try, then the game can turn really quickly. Leinster start to get concerned then about winning the game, not getting a bonus point. And I think as the game went on, we were just chasing too much. We probably came up with too many errors, and ultimately a side like Leinster will feed off those errors, and they did that very well right at the death, which was disappointing in the context of the league, to give them the bonus point when the clock had gone past 80 minutes.
Yeah, let's look at the context of the league then. How do you see it? Is it now a race between yourselves and your beloved neighbours, the Ospreys, for that 4th place, and maybe Munster?
I think there's still plenty to go in terms of we've got to play Glasgow in the top 6, and all the others have got to play each other, I think. So it's going to be, there's still going to be points taken from sides within that mix, and I think, for example, this weekend the Ospreys have travelled to Munster. There's a big there's a big emphasis there on a shift for Munster or for the Ospreys to go that step ahead again. So there's lots to play for, I think, even in the short amount of games that we have left, and we have potentially a really good run in after this weekend as well.
How many sides would you think would be safe? Top 2 at the moment, definitely in the playoffs. So
genuinely, I don't know. Ulster have had a couple of weeks where they haven't performed and not got the results. So it's really, I don't think anyone's guaranteed at the moment. I think the top 2 will probably be safe in the top 4, but not necessarily in the top 2. And I think that's the beauty of this competition now, is that you get there's everything to play for right to the death. And we saw last year how tight it was, and the year before, we missed out on a couple of points to make that top 4. So we're well aware that we have to play right till the last game, and everyone, I think, has to be prepared to do that, to get and stay in there.
Is it disappointing maybe that so much is won and lost in this 4-week block that's just coming to an end during the international period, where no one's near really full strength in that top half of the table?
Most of the sides in the top half of the table provide international players, so I suppose in that context they're all on a level playing field. You haven't got as many international call-ups from the sides in the lower half of the league, so it is what it is. We can't change the season as coaches. We just got to deal with what comes our way, and we've been really fortunate with injuries. We'd obviously like a couple more players to be available to us, but that's life, and you just got to deal with that and hopefully come out of this period in the black.
Edinburgh, with all due respect, they didn't show much at Libsey Stadium last Friday, did they?
They had a young side. They had quite a few changes and quite a few youngsters on the bench, so they weren't certainly they weren't thrashed by the Ospreys, who looked fairly comfortable, but Edinburgh will bring back, I'm sure, some of their international players that maybe didn't get game time against Ireland. They'll be on a bit of a high as well after beating Ireland in Murrayfield, which was an interesting game. But I think this stage of the season, there's lots for them to play for as well. They're losing their coach at the end of the season, and that means that they'll all be trying to impress and trying to stake claims for next season and beyond. So there's a huge amount that we have to be prepared for, and we can't take anything for granted. We probably went to Dublin and thought that the form over the last 3 weeks would take us through the game and give us a chance to be in the last 10 minutes to win the game. It didn't, and that's been a real focus for us this week, is that we can't take anything for granted.
sort of game where you might hope to get a bonus point, I suppose, a home fixture against a side in the bottom three. At what stage in the game do you tell your players to go for it?
You don't really. If you've performed well enough to get to that point, then obviously there will be opportunities. But the most important thing is you win the game, and 4 points is far better than 1 or 0. So I'd rather get the result and get the win first before we start thinking too far ahead of ourselves.
Thank you.
Tab disappointed last weekend?
We haven't seen those players a huge amount. In particular, in a pivotal position like half-back, it's very difficult to come in and pick up from where you've come off from the back of one session. And Tav had an injury as well during the period where he twisted his ankle, so he couldn't come back to us 1 week as well. So he's missed a lot of contact time with us as a region, and we will do our best to assist Rob and his team to try and give players opportunities, but we've also got 2 good scrum halves who've been working well, and they've been in our environment for the whole period, which at the end of the day is difficult just to bring the players straight back in and in such a pivotal position. It's slightly easier possibly that when you bring back in a player in a position like a back 3 player or maybe a prop, but it's very difficult into the mix when you've got a lot. The 9 has to be into everything. He has to understand all that, and Tav does. To be fair, he's come back and he's made himself learnt a lot while he's been back, but still we haven't seen him enough, and the fortunate thing is they get taken off our hands today, which is difficult when we've got a Friday game, so we've only got 1 session potentially with them on Thursday, so it doesn't lend itself for certain individuals to be able to come back and get opportunities, which is a real difficult part for those players to deal with.
With a lot of weeks to come now for the remainder of the season, you'd be expected to get results the next 6 games. You'd probably be going into them as favourites, whereas perhaps in January and December you were seen as the underdogs in a lot of games.
Yeah,
you happy with?
Yeah, I think it's something the players have got to be comfortable with and deal with. We set some targets in this block in particular, and we'll need to go well and perform well on the weekend to try and achieve those targets. But on the whole, we feel over the next 6 games that they're all potentially winnable if we get a lot of things right in our game. And you come into the end of the season or part of the season where you can put yourself out of contention quite quickly if you don't manage those results and get the performances right. Could
spice up that Millennium Stadium doubleheader, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The Blues have were on a bit of, they were going quite well, then obviously lost to Connacht, so they've slipped back a little bit. But I think it'll be good for regional rugby that after the Six Nations as well, hopefully Wales can go well in the last 2 games and prevent England getting a Grand Slam, and then it'll just tee up nicely that game 2 weeks after the final international, and we'll be excited about that after we've gone and hopefully got a result in Zebre.
Do the boys have a break after this weekend? Do you give them time off? Or?
There will be a little bit. We won't give them a full week. We'll probably they'll be back in next week for a few days. Then they'll have a few days off, and then they'll be back in with a bit of conditioning the following week and some skills. So. It's important that they get a bit of a mental break. They'll have that without games. They'll have a physical break as well with no matches. But you don't want to leave them off too long. They deserve a break. Coaches as well will need to have a bit of a switch off and hopefully freshen up for what is a massive run in.
And what happens in terms of the coaches? Obviously, Sean's been with you. Does he stay with you until after the England game and then that's it, or does he stay until the England game?
Yeah, he's contracted till that week, and then we'll take a view of that after that. But
so potentially could he stay till the end of the season?
Unlikely that he'll stay, but he's been excellent throughout his time with us, and it was important for me to bring somebody in that I didn't necessarily have to look over and look over his shoulder what he was doing. Sean's experienced enough to come in and take off from where Mark had left, and it's been fairly seamless. So I've been really happy with his input and his impact into the squad, and the players have bought into what he's trying to do, which hasn't been changing things too much, but just looking at things in a different perspective, and he's been a big help to us all.
Does Mark stay with you then till the rest of the season? His duties on the Wales tour don't sort of cut him off early or anything?
No, hopefully not. No, Mark will be back with us the week of Zebre, he'll be bouncing, I'm sure, after enjoying the last few weeks. So yeah, he'll be straight back with us, and looking forward to finishing the season off. And he won't go with Wales until after the end of the season.